Namaste. Welcome to Little Khayal series, Season 2, Episode 6. Today we bring to you a very special conversation featuring one of the leading musicians of today's times, a multifaceted artist par excellence, a violinist, vocalist, and musicologist. Yes, he's none other than Dr. Sriram Parasuram. Hailing from a family steeped in musical tradition, Sriram Ji started learning the violin at the age of 4 and as a child prodigy, he gave his first public performance at the age of 8. Since then, he has given well over 3,000 violin solo concerts all over the world. For Hindustani music, he was one of the primary sishyas of the Doyen Padma Bhushan Pandit C.R. Vyas, and he also took advanced guidance from Padma Bhushan Pandit Rajan Mishra Ji. He holds a mechanical engineering degree, Master of Music, PhD in World Music, and MBA from IIM Calcutta. His much sought after lecture demonstrations, collaborations, compositions are indeed a treasure trove for our Shrotagans. Today, a young aspiring musician, Master Nihal B. Josyula, who is currently a disciple of Guru Sangeet Samrat Chitraveena and Ravikiran Ji, shall be conversing with Dr. Sriram Ji. Nihal plays the Western violin, piano, and loves playing chess and tennis. Friends, let us now watch Episode 6, the one full of gems of musical insights.
पंचवत शिवसुते पंचमा तंगमुख गणपतिना परिपालितो पंचमा तंगमुख गणपतिना परिपालितो मुखेन श्री पंचमा तंगमुख गणपतिना परिपालितोऽहं सुमुखेन श्रीपञ्चमा तंगमुख गणपतिना.
Hi, my name is Nihal Josyula, and my guru is Sri Chitraveena Ravikiran sir. In Indian classical music, I specifically do Carnatic music, and I really, one of my favorite ragas is Todi, for instance. And what interests me in Carnatic music is a lot of the ragas and the key phrases that you have in those ragas, because one thing leads to another and all of them connect so nicely. So something that I found really interesting. And you have different subsets of ragas, right, within all of these melakartas, which are really interconnected. So that's one of the things I really like about Indian classical music.
Wonderful. So you have been learning vocal or Chitraveena for how many years now?
Vocal, I've been learning for a very long time now, actually.
Okay.
It's like since I was like 5 or 6 or something.
Okay.
And Chitraveena I started very recently.
Okay. Wonderful. You spoke about your fascination with this idea of the raga and how the raga is the principal and the central axis around which all of Indian music is constructed, whether it be Carnatic or Hindustani, or whether it be folk or film. Everywhere we cannot escape the raga. The raga is the fulcrum around which all the music happens, whether it be a kriti or a khayal or a drupad or a fisherman's song or a lullaby or a tevaram or a tirupugal or a kavali or a ghazal. It's all governed by this beautiful idea of the raga, which is, we will discuss what all a raga can mean, and how one can go on and on and on and on trying to capture what this raga means. So today, for a musician in India, the raga is the reason for his or her existence. That's why the raga is almost like Saraswati herself, Mata Saraswati. That's why we give it that pradhanya, that pride of importance and significance. That the raga is a devata. All the ragas are manifestations of her grace, and we refer to each raga as a devata, as a god. So auspicious and so infinite is this space of the raga. If you understand, how blessed we are, how much grace shines upon us, that we are in this very beautiful, joyous thing called the raga all the time as a musician. So whether it be Todi or Miyaki Malhar or Begada or Patdeep or Mand or Pahadi, it's all one beautiful raga, and to the next and to the next and to the next and coming back. So infinite is its beauty. It's like the sun. It's like the Surya Bhagavan. How magical is this world of raga to you?
I definitely agree with everything you're saying. Like that wholesomeness that you get from the raga is definitely something that I think goes beyond just each individual raga into more of the central, like you're talking about, the central concept of what the raga is supposed to mean.
Yeah.
So just a few general questions that I was just wondering. So first of all, in singing Carnatic music or singing Hindustani music or playing violin or giving lecture demos or listening to your favorite music or anything else, which of those do you do the most and the least in your time?
Very difficult. At different times in my life, I have given each of them different priorities. For me, my sadhana, my practice is very important. In earlier years, during my formative years, when I started learning the violin at the age of 3. And my mother was a singer, so I started learning vocal also from her around that same time. My elder sister used to play the violin, so I naturally followed, because there was, and my elder brother was learning to play the mridangam. So I used to learn violin, mridangam and vocal simultaneously from the age of 3. So during those days, during those times, the learning was the key. The classes with my gurus, practicing whatever is given. Since my mother was at home, my guru was at home almost every day, the expectation to practice. And I loved to practice. It was, times were a little easier then, because other than schoolwork and playing outside, we had very few diversions or distractions. So there was no TV, no iPhone, no social media, nothing like that. Our lives were very simple, and coming from a very middle class background, almost low middle class, we didn't have any luxuries to indulge. So the passion and the commitment with which we worked, either studied or practicing my violin or vocal or mridangam, that was all we did. Of course, we had a lot of fun doing that also. And of course, going down to play with friends, that was all part of the daily routine. But practicing, getting up early in the morning and practicing daily was a very important part of that portion of my life. The first, say, 7-8 years. Then later on, as my talent started blossoming and as I started giving concerts, I began, my first concert was when I was 7.5. So since I took very naturally to the violin, and by that time itself I was giving a lot of concerts, full-fledged concerts. Then what became important was listening a little bit more to the great Vidwans, to great violinists like Lal Guru Jayaraman sir, MSG, T.N. Krishnan sir, all these great artists I used to listen and go to concerts. So once I became a little bit, and that started feeding into my rigor and preparation for a concert. You know, how to plan a concert, how to do sangatis, how to do manodharma, all those things started taking a little more priority. Later on, as I became a teenager, you know, I started spending a little less time on my music because I was studying to become an engineer after my school. And then usual teenage distractions of friends and going out and, you know, touring the country and all those things also, because I led a very natural life. In the sense, just because I was exceptionally talented and concertizing, my parents wanted to make sure that all of us lead a very normal life. And there was a lot of, focus given to excellence in academics also. So I excelled in my academics. I was always first in my class. Even in engineering, I did very well. And then, of course, I did my MBA a little later, my master's in business administration, because that was the natural path that if you are brilliant in academics also, you do that. I was at IIM Calcutta after my engineering. So during those days, the focus was less on music. It was always running parallel. What I'm saying is that other things took on a little more seriousness in terms of studying, in terms of assimilating a very beautiful life with friends, going to college, the whole experience of, assimilating the entire world in its different colors, not just a one-dimensional musician. So that way I was exceptionally fortunate to have such parents and to have such opportunities. And though the learning continued, my musical development at those stages was mostly sparse, in a sense. Though I continued to give performance and practice, I started listening to a lot. Living in the hostels, I was listening to a lot. I had a lot of friends who surrounded me, who kind of really liked me and loved me for my music. And I used to play for them. And, you know, I used to play film songs. I used to play everything on the violin and sing also. So I used to have my own kind of darbar. You know what a darbar is? Darbar is a court. So I was like the court musician, and my friends, hostel mates and all used to flock, and I used to play for them, sing for them. So that was a lot of fun, which I, indulged in. But I realized later on that those years were also very important for me, because they gave me the opportunity to develop a more rounded personality in terms of looking at music, looking at the world, looking at things that are beautiful, looking at art, and so many things in a more wholesome way, rather than just being a horse with blinkers on and just knowing Bhairavi and Todi and Kamboji and Kalyani. Instead of that, I got to experience a lot of the world in its so many beautiful dimensions. You know, studying physics or studying, organizational behavior or operations management, all of them are processes of the brain and the mind, and all of them have so much beauty embedded in them. And later on we can talk about all that also, in the sense how what we do musically or creatively or in terms of performance, everything has to do with the mind and how beautifully it participates in the beauty around us. You're understanding what I'm saying? Is it within your
Yes, yes.
grasp?
It's
Yeah.
very nice to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you. Even in music, when you're singing Raga Todi, you are just delving into the beauty that is available to us. and hence the more joyous and the more naturally you are able to participate in that beauty, the more rewarding it is and fulfilling it is for you as a musician. Uh, that still is my governing principle. Even today morning, I was practicing Kalyana Vasantam on my violin because I'm preparing for I have a All India Radio national program recording 2 days later. So I'm preparing for that. So I'm still wonderstruck as to where are these ideas coming from, how I'm able to play them so beautifully. It is not a matter of arrogance or praise. I'm really wonderstruck at how infinite the mind is. I would have played Nadalulude 1,000 times in my life and performed it many times. Or I was preparing Sri Krishnam Bhaja Manasa, a kriti of Muthuswami Dikshita in Todi, which also I'm going to play for my All India Radio National Program concert. I would have played that kriti also in hundreds of concerts. I would have played Todi as an accompanist to all the great masters. I remember a Todi that T. N. Sheshagopalan sang and I was accompanying. I remember a Todi that the great T. R. Subramaniam sang and I was accompanying, and I was playing the raga. I remember a concert of U. Srinivas where I was running a temperature of 102. And as I was playing my alapana in Todi, I fell asleep because I was really, really feverish. But then nobody knew it. I slept for about a minute while I was playing my alapana. But the raga is so intrinsic and inside, has become such a part of me that the raga kept on playing. My fingers were playing. And suddenly I woke up because I was so tired on stage. And I kind of just dozed off for that 1 minute. I remember. So what I'm saying is that the idea of this practice is that it seeps so deep inside you that you can sing in your sleep. You can play in your sleep also. Like my Guruji, the great Pandit C.R. Vyas used to say, कि संगीत में जो तालीम और शिक्षा तुम प्राप्त करते हैं, you follow Hindi a little bit, I will translate it. वो 10% है बस. Only 10% is what you learn from your guru. 40% आपका जो रियाज और साधना है. 40% is how you practice and how hard you work at it. Correct? जो बचा हुआ 50% है, वो बस चिंतन में है. The remaining 50% is only in your thinking and contemplation. Chintan means to think and contemplate about it.
So another thing that's more applicable now than it was in older times. So you have managed to lead in both academics as well as sharing and innovating on new musical techniques, right? So today, young people of our current generation are finding difficulty in just school, even without activities outside of it, right? And this is causing a lot less musicians to be practicing with not as much dedication. What is your advice as a master who has balanced both academics and the arts?
Yes, it is much tougher nowadays. Like I said, mainly because not that school and academics has become tougher. It is. I still go through my son's syllabus and portions. I find that the things have really not gotten tougher. Yes, it has become a little more competitive, and hence one is always on the edge as to score well, to do well in competitive exams, to get admissions into good universities and all that. So definitely it has, but it is more but at the same time, certain things in terms of music learning have also become easier because of technology. You're able to listen to so much music at you just move a cursor and click on sangeetapriya.com or any YouTube channel and you can listen to 20 renditions of a Kalyani or a Devagandhari, correct? So that was not the case. If I wanted to listen to Devagandhari, I have to go to the shop, I have to buy one cassette and I have to listen to it, or I'll have to tune to the radio for a good program for a Sangeet Sammelan or Akashvani program, and then my father used to record it for me on his spool tape, and then I will have to play it back. And so it was a more complex issue. Listening was, so today, for example, we are having this conversation because of the technology available. And hence today, there is so much more in terms of resources available for the individual. So, as time progresses, as time goes on, certain things there'll be loss in terms of, like you say, you have more distractions and you seem to have less time for the more meaningful things in life. Correct? But at the same time, many things are also rendered easy. You can have a class with your guru over Skype, which would not have been possible even 20 years or 10 years back. So things are, my philosophy is that if the passion is very deep and if the instinct, if the human instinct is very genuine, you will find a way. Today, there are so many brilliant young musicians, who are probably having more samarthya. They approach their music more intelligently. They have a bigger repertoire because you can learn from anywhere. I could learn only whatever my guru or my mom taught me. But you can, if you have the grasping power and the grace and the talent, you can learn kritis very beautifully. Of course, you have to be guided, but then you can learn from so many different sources. You can learn from online concerts. You can, sitting in one place in the US, you can listen to the entire Madras music season.
Coming back to the points of raga that we were talking about in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever experienced any moments yourself when you were either performing or practicing or listening when a particular innovative idea or pattern in a particular raga occurred to you? Like, for instance, like a gamaka or a phrase that you felt like belonged in that raga and that shaped you today? Could you please give me an example?
So many times. The mind is always searching for new things. The grace of the goddess is that your mind is always exploring. It is never static, especially in a system like Indian music, where things are always the idea of manodharma is without limits, right?
Exactly.
So what I'm saying, like I was saying, I was listening to this Hamir today. Let me give you today's example. So every day is filled with such discoveries. Sada ma da da ni sa da pa 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 ga ma ri sa ri sa chameli phool champa. So this line, this is in Hamid. Pardon me, I'm just recovering from a bout of I was down with COVID, so my throat is still very very grainy and I have a stuffed nose. But ga ga ma da ni da da pa ga ga ma da ni da da pa chameli ga ga ma da ni da da pa. This ga ma da ni sa, which is essential for the raga Hamid. Ga ma da ni sa da pa pa ga ma ri sa sa da pa ji ga ma pa ga ma ri sa ri sa. This is the chalan of the raga, basic framework of the raga. So this ga ga ma da ni sa da pa, just by varying that pace and the nature of that pace, I can sing it as if I am meandering. Ga ga ma da ni sa da pa. I can even sing it even more lazy. All of them are artistic approaches. Ga ga ma da ni sa da pa. Ga ma da ni sa da pa. I can ornament the first note, I can ornament the second note, ga, that is ornamenting the first note, right? Ga. I can also sing ga ma, I can ornament the second note, ga ma. I can ornament the third note, ga ma da, ga ma da. I can ornament the fourth note, ga ma da ni, ga ma da ni. Gamadani sada, 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 sada. So 100 ways, 1000 ways I can sing that sa also. So one phrase, when we say that a raga is infinite, it is when you are in touch with all these possibilities, right? And so different tempo, ga, gamadani sa, with gamaka, ga, gamadani sa, with gamaka, ga, gamadani sa, more plain notes, ga, gamadani sa, right? Even faster, ga, gamadani sa, ga, gamadani sa. That sa has to be like a chisel, you know, hitting on that note. Ga, gamadani sa, da, pa, ga, gamadani sa, da, pa, ga, gamadani sa, da, pa. So that da, pa, da, pa, da, pa, da, pa, da, pa, pa, re, ga. That is the key. How beautiful the raga hamir. Pariga, pariga. How slowly I am going to come from pa to re. I can do pariga, medium speed, right? I can exaggerate. Pariga. I can be bold about it. Pariga. I can be very compassionate. Karunya. Pariga. I can touch the notes. Pamadariga, pariga. The curve itself, that particular mean or what we call jaru in Carnatic, right? The slide from one note to the other can have so many different colors. So within one phrase, there are 100,000 ways to deliver it. You recognize all those possibilities, not all those possibilities, many of those possibilities. And then it feeds your mind. And then the mind goes into a creative tizzy. It goes into what I call aha for the mind. The mind is so fascinated by these possibilities. And then it just, like when they say blow your mind, no, you use that phrase, no, it blew my mind. For a musician, whenever he is dealing with raga, his mind is getting blown. Literally, because there is so much to be done. Ga ma da ni sa, ga ma da ni sa, ga ma da ni sa da pa sa sa da pa pa ga ma ri ni da. I can go ga ma da ri da, ga ma sa ni da, ga ma sa da pa 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 ga ma ri di 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 ga ga ma ma da da ni 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 sa da. Ga ma da ni sa I can render with janta. Ga 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 ma ma da da ni ni sa. Ga 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 ma 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 da 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 ni ni sa. I can vary tempo. I'm just trying to tell you that there is the process of discovery and innovation is on the spot. If you train your mind that way. So one phrase, I have 100,000 phrases that come rushing into me. So what do you call an innovation? It becomes very difficult. But at the same time, none of this is innovation because it's already there. The possibility already exists. So that is why for a classical musician, the idea of composing or coming up with something new itself is in principle not there, because everything is already there. You are just touching base with those things. When we talk about the 72 Mela Kartas, since you mentioned the Mela Ragas, the possibility was always there. Once you define the Sampurna principle of all 7 notes in both Aroha and Avroha, which is the defining principle for the Mela Ragas, correct? And once you define that these are the possibilities, it is only a matter of permutation, combinations of those, The possibility is always there. So Chaturdandi Prakashika of Venkatamaki in the 17th century, he made it clear that these possibilities were there. Later on, it was consolidated and crystallized by and given names to. So every discovery in Indian music is just realizing or the manifestation of a possibility. There is no innovation as such, right? Every time you're discovering something new, every time you're then, for example, S. Kalyan Raman sir, Tanjavur Kalyan Raman, he decided from the Mela 72 Mela Karta Mela Raga scheme, he came up with what is called Panchamavarjya Dvimadhyama Mela, where if you take, why not 2 varieties of Madhyama and omit the Panchama as also a principle. For example, Sadi, if you take Maya Balagola, Sadi Ga Ma Pada Ni Sa, right? Now here, Sadi Ga Ma Ma Da Ni Sa, Sa Ni Da Ma Ma Ga Ri Sa, right? So this becomes a possibility. So now when I coalesce the 2 Madhyamas together in one raga, I have 36 possibilities, because the Mela is divided into 36 Shuddha Madhyama and 36 Prati Madhyama, correct? When I fuse the 2 Madhyamas together, I have only 36 possibilities. So this discovery was latent within, and he composed in all the 36 Dvimadhyama Panchama Varjya ragas. Many people may not know this, but so the possibility was already there. If you can have, the Vivadi ragas are so called because they have 2 varieties of the same note, right? The most popular Vivadi raga is the raga Nate. Maga Marisa, Maga Magasa. The 2 neighboring notes, we call it Re, but it is actually Shashruti Rishapa and Gandhara, and Antara Gandhara are, it's a Vivadi pair. It's supposed to create dissonance. Anyway, that's a different topic. What I am saying is that similarly, if Maga Mari Gamari Gari Gari, if it can exist within a raga, why not both the Madhyamas? So in terms of logic, Dvi Madhyama is also a principle. It happens in so many ragas. Like there is a raga called Lalit. You know Lalit? In Hindustani, this raga. Even our Lalita, Dikshidhar would have derived from that. But in Carnatic, we probably got rid of the Prati Madhyama. So today Lalita is Sadi Ga Ma Ni Sa, Sa Ni Da Ma Ga Ri Sa. You've heard Lalita? Hiranmayim Lakshmi Sada Bhajami Hinamanavasrayam Tyajami. Very simple, beautiful. But the Lalit of Hindustani, Sariga Ma 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 Ga Mada Mada Ni Sa Ni Da Ma Mada Ma 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 Ga Re Ga Ma Ga Re Ga Ri Sa Ma Ma Ga. the two madhyamas happen very beautifully. Madha, Madha ni sa ni da, da ni re ga ni ni, da ni ri ni da, Madha ma 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 da, ni da ma ma ga ri, ga ma ri ga ri sa. So the two madhyamas happen in so many ragas. In our Bihag, in our Yamuna Kalyani, in our Hamir Kalyani, there are two madhyamas. So to construct a scale as krama means in sequence of the two madhyamas, is a possibility. Why not? So what I am saying is, every composer, including Tyagaraja, will say that I didn't really compose these things. These are already latent. These are already exist as a possibility. You understand that the philosophy of that? So basically,
Yes.
it is just that you are getting in touch with a possibility and not necessarily innovating or coming up with something absolutely new.
Yeah, I see definitely what you're saying. Like originally I thought it was just suddenly you think of it, but now I'm seeing if you have all the notes and all the ragas,
Yes.
then all of these possibilities and potential patterns, they
Yes.
already exist. It's just waiting
Yes.
for us to find it. Is what you're
Yes,
saying.
absolutely.
And another question. So I know that you sing both Carnatic and Hindustani music, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what kind of factors do you find distinguishing between both of these music styles for people who are looking to get into either one? And at any point in time, can we learn both of them at the same time?
My suggestion is that the two are very similar in so many ways, but in terms of aesthetic and creative and sound wise, they are very different. Every music system has a particular sonic identity. An opera singer is using the same voice, but the sonic identity there is very different from how K.V. Narayana Swami will sing. Correct? It's being used differently. It is being used differently by Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is a great, I don't know if you have heard Stevie Wonder, a great pop artist, you know, or by Beyonce, if you know Beyonce, is a very popular pop singer. So a Chinese opera person will use the voice differently sonically. Sound wise itself, they are different. So my suggestion always is that this sounding of a particular system is so critical and is so abstract that it has to be absorbed at a very intuitive level. It cannot be taught. It's like you absorb sound. How can you teach somebody how to sound? You listen and you imbibe it, and then you participate in it. That is a process. It's a perception and execution process in terms of the mind. So that is always very intuitive. So I always suggest that you master one system, either the Carnatic or Hindustani, and then once your foundation in that is very strong and unshakable, then your ability to delve into the other, into the Hindustani, and absorb its sonic sound wise. See, theoretically we will be able to figure out because of the intelligence. But in terms of the gamaka, the sound of the gamaka, the sound of how you project your voice, the aesthetics of that particular system, all of them are very abstract. And so if you are very firm with one and that is unshakable, then you go on to learn the other. And then there too, you have to listen a lot. Your intuition is fed by listening. That is the beginning point for both. So for example, since you said Todi is your favorite raga, Tadara Sadi Gama Pada Ni Dada Da Ni Gama Dama Gama Dama ma ma ga ga ri ma ga ri ga ma ga ri ri za ri ga da ga ri ga ni da ma ga ri za ni sa. Right now, in this, within 5 seconds, I can establish, I can convey to you that I know Todi very well. Sari ga ma pada ni da ga ni da ma ga ma ga ri ma ga sa ni da ma ga ri sa ni da ni sa. Even if I ask the most brilliant Hindustani musician to sing this, he or she will struggle. They will get the notes maybe while practicing, but the gamakas and the sound will not come. Because this gamakas and the sound is such an intuitive learning. I have spoken to perception experts, listening, hearing experts, cognitive science experts, and we all agree that the way you absorb sound cannot be broken down. At the same time, a raga very similar to Todi in Hindustani is a raga which actually the corresponding raga in Hindustani is Shuddha Bhairavi. That is sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. This is Bhairavi in Hindustani. But Shuddha Bhairavi is not sung. It's always Bhairavi sung as our Sindhu Bhairavi. The raga very close to having the same notes of our Todi is a raga called Bilas Khani Todi. Sa re ga re ma ga pa da ni da ma ri ga ri ni da sa. It's a Vakra raga. Sa re ma ga pa da ni da ma ri ga da ma ri ga ri ga pa da sa ri da ri da ma ri ga ri ni da sa ri ga. Sa re ga ma ga pa da ni da ga da ri ni da ma ga ri ga pa da ri ga ri ni da ma ga ri ga pa da ni da ma ga ri ga ri ni da sa. If you notice, my sounding itself is very different from the Todi.
So one of my next questions comes back to something we were talking about earlier, right? About our current generation. So for concerts in our current generation, as an honorable artist, as an honorable artist yourself, you've worked with many artists over the years, in previous generations as well as now, right?
Yeah.
So you may have noticed that a lot of the logistics in the concerts have changed, such as getting shorter, or the formatting is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So what suggestions do you have for artists in terms of bringing back these previous concert ideologies and keeping audiences entertained? Or do you think that the formats we're seeing right now are going to become the new?
They've already become the current pattern. See, our music, even though we call it traditional, in terms of especially performance practice, the kala, the art of it will remain a little constant. That's what sampradaya is. Sampradaya is where the core values will remain from Tyagaraja's time to today, 250 years. Many of the core values will remain the same. But the way it is presented, that will keep changing. Because that is impacted by the outside world. It is governed by, for example, when you talk about performance, it is governed by the changing tastes among listeners. It is governed by technology a lot, because today an online concert during COVID times, an online concert, nobody has the patience to listen to a whole 2-hour concert. So concert durations have come to 1 hour, 1.5 hours, correct? So the changing times, changing technologies, changing audience preferences. Today people are a little more restless. They have less leisure in their minds, and hence they seek variety. I'm just generalizing, there are exceptions. They seek variety, and they also seek a lot of thrill. There are 4 or 5 reasons why music plays an important part in a Rasika's life. One is a deep sense of culture. So if you listen to a Tirupugal, which is on Muruga, right? Tirupugals are on Lord Muruga. So if you are a Tamil speaking and a devout person for whom Lord Muruga is important in your cultural spiritual basis, then listening to a Tirupugal makes you very happy, right? So the music is a cultural and spiritual link for you. That's why you listen. You also listen because it gives you a sense of identity. That, for example, for you or for your parents, that you are a South Indian, though you are growing up in the US, your identity as belonging to an Indian tradition is held up because of your music also. So people listen to reinstate identity. I don't know if you're able to understand these social aspects. But
No, I'm following along.
Some people like to be entertained. For them, a kacheri is like an entertainment where they like to go and they feel happy about listening to, say, Sudha Raghunathan or somebody, and they come back that evening they had an entertaining time. Correct? Somebody is seeking for a thrilling time, like a lot of calisthenics and lot of gimmicks and lot of high points of thrill, like how when you go to a theme park or when you go to a roller coaster park, in the US, you don't go to a roller coaster park to have a peaceful time, do you? You go there to get thrills. You watch a Superman movie or a Batman or a Spider-Man movie, not for the story. Are you there for the story, or are you there for the acting? No, you are there for the thrills and the action. So somebody might go to a concert expecting to be thrilled. The mind is kept very thrilled. So virtuosic, up and down, lot of pranak, vyavahara, lot of four-ways and complicated things which are generally exhilarating and thrilling. They feel happy listening to it. There are a few people who will go to a concert or listen to music with a more sense of leisure and wanting saukhya, a little meaningful experience, a deep experience, not just a temporary experience, but an experience which they want to cherish for a long time. So there are different attitudes by which people will go to a concert. So for the concert performer, it's a challenge to meet all these expectations. You feel validated in a concert, so you have to also cater to that psychological need of the, I don't know if it is too deep for you, the psychological need of the Rasika. The Rasika needs to be able to connect and feel validated. If you sing a concert totally of unknown kritis and unknown ragas, rare ragas, the standard Rasika is not going to feel validated, however beautifully you sing them, because he is not able to connect with them. He is not knowledgeable enough. Only if he has the knowledge can he connect with a Nasika Bhushani, correct, or a Tana Rupi. He may not connect to a Niroshta or a Urmika. These are all rare ragas. Whereas if you sing Raghuvamsha Sudha Buddhita, if you sing that, immediately he will sit up and get validated because he recognizes it. or Kurayondrumillai Malemurti Kanna. Everybody goes into raptures listening to this song. According to me, it's a very boring and a song which is so common. But the listener is feeling validated because he or she has heard MS sing this, MS Subbulakshmi sing this, and then he or she feels validated. So the concert performer has to make all these kinds of people happy. So he or she is also trying to juggle and find the correct proportion of how long to sing a raga. Because I have so many even close friends who will come and say, "Sir, today it was nice, but your Shankarabharanam was too long." I told him it was not long for me. It may have been long for you. Because he was expecting, his mind had probably a little less leisure today, and hence he felt bored. It was too long for him. So a concert, a young performer today has to manage all these parameters and make sure that his or her presentation is satisfying to all kinds of people. Previously, it was not that case. Previously, even during my time, even my childhood, I remember that the listeners, the rasikas, were more open. Whatever was given to them, they consumed with a lot of joy. It's a changing times. So whatever my mom cooked for me, I used to eat it. I never said I don't like this. I don't like this. Why? Yeah, day before yesterday only you made sambar. Again you are making sambar. Our culture was not like that. But today, the child will say, let us go out for pizza. Correct? If your mom makes chapati at home or dosa, you want variety, correct? And you are free in expressing that. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that is the change. So you have an opinion, you have certain preferences, and you are free to express them. So the same is with music also. During our times, when I was a small child, we went to a concert without much expectations. We had faith and conviction that the artist will sing honestly and it will be a meaningful experience for us. Whereas today, the audience comes to the concert with a lot of expectations. And that changes the equation. And the performer has to respond to that.
In economics, I don't know if you heard about this thing called invisible hand theory, right? How
Yeah.
markets are not influenced by the markets themselves, it's influenced by what the people want, right? That's kind of what it sounds like here, right? Like audiences and their expectations are what are influencing us, along with how our traditions and how our learning from our gurus, as well as how
Yes.
our individual
Yeah.
agreement is.
Absolutely. And also, since you mentioned economics, I did my MBA in finance and economics. So today also there is too much of exposure. So like I said, we used to listen to concerts maybe 4 times a month. Being a very serious student of music itself as a child, that's all I used to listen to. Whereas today, probably you are listening to a concert every day if you are a serious student of music. Correct? So your mind, there is a thing called, what is it called? Marginal utility, I think. The diminishing returns theory is that if you consume something again and again, over and over very frequently, its value in your system goes down. So if you eat a slice of pizza today, and if you eat a pizza again tomorrow, and if you eat pizza again day after tomorrow, by the fourth day, you don't want to go anywhere near pizza. That's because the diminishing returns. It decreases, it diminishes in its value for you. So similarly, if you are hearing Shankarabharanam daily, then the value of that Shankarabharanam diminishes for the listener. Right? Maybe not for a music student, So because the Rasika is listening to so much of concerts and so many things on his phone, on his iPad, on his computer, online concerts, everything. So the expectation of the listener also has changed because he wants more variety, right? You know, in the
Yes.
previous generation, I will give you an example. If you had a raga like Hara Hara Priya, right? Each of the great Vidwans will sing only one kriti in that. So Shamaguri Srinivasar will sing one kriti, you know, Chakani Raja Margamu. You know this kriti, you've heard this, Chakani Raja Margamu.
I
Then
have never heard of it.
G and B will sing Ramani Samanam Evaru. That is the only kriti he will sing. Because people are going to listen to G and B again only after 6 months. So it retains its freshness. If I am going to sing today Ramani Samanam Evaru in whenever I sing Karagara Priya, somebody would have heard it previous day online or in YouTube or somewhere else. And hence he or she will say, my God, again the same kriti.
I'm
Right?
starting to see the connection here actually, right? Yeah, exactly. Like in olden times, like you said, you had to use the cassettes or go to a concert
Yes.
whenever it came, like once a month or something.
Yes.
So now with more accessibility with technology as well,
Yeah.
that means that, like you're saying, diminishing returns.
There is a overkill, what I call overkill. Too much exposure, and it's all almost free exposure. I remember I used to have to save money to spend 30 rupees for a cassette. Whereas today the concept of a student saving money to listen to music is not known because on YouTube and all these sites it's all free. Correct. So the consumption of music has reached a very high level, and I'm not sure whether this is actually good for the music. It need not be good. People are listening to the music in their cars, when they are jogging in the gym, you know, everywhere they are listening to music. When they are working on their projects, they are listening, the headphones are on and they are listening to music. When they are traveling, they listen to music. My sons used to listen to music when they were studying also. So people are listening to music so much. And being human, we will get bored with it. It won't be as cherishable and as fresh.
Um, this one is more of something for now in terms of um, learning both the things. So for learning two different forms, right? For instance, with Hindustani and Carnatic, you told me it's better to perfect one and then go
Huh.
to another. But
Yes.
within the same form, like for instance, just learning Carnatic music,
Huh.
is it better to learn vocal and an instrument together or separately?
Yes.
Because some
Yes.
people are saying like if you learn vocal and instrument at once, the intuition behind them both is very similar, so it helps one another, right? But other people are saying you should focus on one and become really good at that, and that is what will help you run
See,
the instrument later.
there are no clear-cut generalized formula for such things. It depends on how much what your passion level is, what your availability of time is, and to what extent you are talented. Right? It is governed by all these things. So what is applicable for one child may not be applicable for another. For example, like I said, I was learning vocal, mridangam, and violin at the same time. Probably, I certainly believe that learning an instrument makes your singing better because the subtle aspects which you imbibe through learning an instrument, all of these are in terms of swarasthana, in terms of sounding principle, in terms of gamakas, understanding the nuances of gamakas. All these are learned best through an instrument because you are physically having to deal with it. If you can, for example,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, for instance, if you're trying to play on the violin, right? If you're trying to do
Yeah.
a gamaka, you have to play the note before and below in
No,
order to
you have
get
to
that
know
sound.
exactly what it is composed of, right? So tell me another
Yes.
raga. I will sing that and show for you. Say any raga.
Begada?
Yeah. Gama pada pama dava parisa gari ga. Now this gari ga. Now when I play on the violin, I know that my re is on ga. Gari gari. It's not gari ga. It's not that. Gari ga. And the second ga is gari ga. It's not ga. Gari ga. Gama pada pa. If I don't give that accent on that ma with my bow, gama. If you see, there is an accent on that ma. Gama pada pa. What we will call aditham. Now this aditham in the voice is very difficult to teach. But on the violin, if I exert more pressure at that gama, if I exert pressure, I understand what that aditham is. So in a simple phrase, the gamaka, the anuswaras, the sounding of that particular gama pada pada ni da pa ni da pa ni sa ni da da pa. This anuswara, I will understand better if I am playing an instrument because I can physically be in touch with it. Sa ni da da pa ni da pa. For me to absorb it directly on the voice, it requires a great amount of musical talent. If I'm certain little lacking in that, then my grasp of the raga may not be so easy. That's why in the olden times they used to insist that every vocal student has to learn an instrument. It used to be compulsory in Annamalai University, for all the great universities of those times. You know, you have to clear your to get a degree in music, you have to also learn an instrument. Even though your major is the vocal voice, you also have to learn instrument. Compulsory, either a veena or a violin. While veena used to be the preferable because that's the Indian instrument and you can understand gamakas very well. And the concepts such as aditham and tonal variations on the veena, you know, and aspects of tala because of the talam strings. You keep the talam on the veena itself. You know that, no? So aspects of tala you are. The other thing with instrument is that you also develop a flair for a different imaginative portfolio. For example, in Begada itself, I will tell you. Because of an instrumental approach to thinking of phrases, sagariga mada basa da basa di sagariga. Now, this sagariga mada basa da basa di sagariga, it is not naturally occurring to a vocalist. Da barisa gama da ba da barisa da barisa da barisa gama da ba da barisa gama da barisa di da ba ba da ni da ba ba da ri da gariga. Da barisa gama da ba da barisa. This particular pattern. You want to sing this for me? Can you sing? Da barisa gama da ba da barisa. Da barisa gama da ba da barisa. Da barisa.
Oh, okay. So you want to repeat? Okay.
I want you to repeat.
Da
Da barisa gama da ba.
barisa.
Gama da barisa da barisa da barisa ni da ba ba ga risa. Gama da barisa da barisa ni da ba ba ga risa. Try. Da barisa ni da ba gama da ba ba ga risa. Da ba risa. For an instrumentalist to conceive of this is very natural. Whereas for a vocalist to conceive of this idea is very far-fetched. You understand?
Yes.
Da barisa gama da ba da barisa ni da ba ba ga risa ga riga. So to come up with a complex idea like this, for an instrumentalist, it's second nature, for a good instrumentalist. So learning an instrument also expands your creative horizons. It also expands your sonic horizons, because every instrument has a sound which is unique to that, right? For example, I will try a small experiment with you. Suppose let us take Hindolam. You know Hindolam?
Yes.
Yeah. Sing that line for me. Now, by varying the color tone on my bowing, so my repeated notes, they have a certain color when I sing now. It's not sa 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 sa. It's not that. Sa 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 ni da ni ni da ma da 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 da. They kind of fade out. Try that for me. Sa 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 sa.
Sa 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 sa.
Sa 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 ni da ni 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 da ma da 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 da.
Sa 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 ni da ni 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 da ma da 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 da.
Yeah. So ni da ma da 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 ni da. That stress on every ni da. Ni da ma da ni da ma da ni da. So such small sounding things, which are very effective on an instrument, you can expand. And then hence when you sing, like I told you, G.N. Balasubramaniam, the great G.N. adapted the Nadaswaram tonality and creativity onto voice. Right? Even Lalgudi Jayaraman did the same thing. Because he was accompanying G.N.B. sir lots, he also assimilated a lot of the instrument techniques of Nagaswaram onto his violin play. Right? So what I'm saying is that learning an instrument expands your creative horizons also. So that's why learning voice is very effective in rendering sahitya, getting bhava. On an instrument, bhava is not natural. Whereas if bhava is very natural for the voice. Right? For example, if you take Hindolam itself. Nirajakshi Kamakshi Nirada Chikure Tripure. This beautiful line of Dikshitar's. You have heard this composition?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. What do you know in Hindola? Samani Gamaja Sudhamaya Gana Vichakshana Guna Shila Dayala Valamam Valaya Samaja Varadamanna. Right? You have heard this, you know this composition?
Yes, I've heard it before.
So, Tyagaraja is trying to describe the beauty of the notes. Actually, it is only sa ni da ma ga za da ni sa. But the bhava in it. It is beautiful. So when you learn to express it, the bhava and sahitya through your voice, it naturally translates into your instrument. All the things which you all the bhava that you will give to a musical line is best realized with the voice, because that is, like I said, most intimate, and hence If you learn the kriti well, your rendition on the violin or the flute or the veena will also have that sahitya bhav. If you don't know the kriti well, if you don't know the sahitya, that's why some instrumentalists, when they play, it sounds like an instrument. It doesn't sound like a kriti. It just sounds like a tune. Have you noticed that? Whereas if you know the kriti well, if you have learnt it on your voice, your violin will start singing. So it's a two-way street. You learn an instrument, your vocal improves. You learn vocal, your violin improves. But then you need to have the time and the talent also you need to be able to pick up these aspects.
Yes.
Everybody may not be able to do it. They may get little frustrated when they try to learn an instrument, or some children may not have a very flexible or sweet voice, so they may struggle to sing. So there are so many other natural factors also. But ideally, if you are able to learn both from good teachers, the importance of the guru is very critical, because it is through the guru that you assimilate all these beautiful and deep aspects. If you don't have a good guru, then it's all even if you are very talented, it may not be the ideal thing. So if you are fortunate enough to have a good guru, and if you have the interest and the passion to learn an instrument side by side with you learning to sing, I think you should do it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, you are such a brilliant and young, fresh mind. I have loved interacting with you, because even though some of the concepts that I have touched upon are slightly not so pedantic, they are not easy. They are little different.
I understood everything you were talking about.
Yeah,
it really opened my mind to a different bunch of other.
I can sense that you could grasp at some of those things. Very nice. So that's good. Wonderful. So wish you all the very best in your singing. You have a sweet voice also. Yeah. So I see a lot of passion in you. So keep it up. Keep listening. Keep practicing.
Thank you so much,
keep learning. All the very best. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you. Namaskaram. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Wow, I don't know how to put to words how informative this episode has been. Nihal is so blessed to have got to speak at length with such a stalwart musician. He was clearly a novel with amazing discussion points. Did you know that this conversation actually went on for over 90 minutes and Nihal did not want it to end? Dr. Sriram Parasuram is such a great artist. Taking inspiration from today's episode, shall we all make a promise to ourselves to expand our own learning capacities and try to gain greater depth of understanding in our field of studies? Now it is time to like, share, follow, and subscribe to your favorite ShrotaHouse YouTube channel. Have you listened to Sriramji's violin recital in the National Program of Music, Akashvani Air? I'm going to listen to it now. Bye, and see you in the next episode.